What's up, y'all? How's everyone doing today? This is week 2 of my 500 movies in a year challenge that I set for myself. This week I managed to watch 10 movies, which is one less than last week, but we're going to jump right into it. The first movie of the week was The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, which first and foremost, I want to acknowledge that I understand that this movie was not made for a 30-year-old dude. Having said that, I did have a few problems with it, mainly with the characters and how most of them, especially the side characters, just weren't likable, and it kind of made it hard to watch at times. By the end of the movie, even out of the sisterhood, I only really cared for Carmen and maybe Lena. I liked Tibby for the most part until she kind of got on Carmen's case about basically implying that it's Carmen's responsibility to maintain the relationship with her dad, which, I mean, no, especially when the dad acted like, he couldn't be bothered to maintain that relationship. I feel like that's not a good message to send. But again, I know this was aimed at a completely different demographic, and that demographic highly enjoyed it. So I'm not knocking the movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's just one that's not for me. Again, I didn't hate it, but again, just the characters kind of took me out of it. Moving on to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Again, this is another movie that was aimed at a different demographic, but I'm very, child-minded, as y'all can probably tell. So this movie was aimed for kids, and I loved it. I highly appreciated the animation. Definitely taking some inspiration from the Spider-Verse movies. The score, the soundtrack, the comedy, the turtles themselves actually representing teenagers in a not super cringy way. I thought it was gonna come off as a "Hello, fellow teenagers" vibe. But they actually came off as authentic teenagers, which rarely happens in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles media. But it was a very fun movie and barely over an hour and a half, so it hit that sweet spot with time frame, again, especially aimed at a younger audience. I think it did a fantastic job. Moving on to 500 Days of Summer. I loved this movie. Didn't know much about it going into it. I've heard of it, but I've avoided spoilers for years because I knew I was going to get around to watching it eventually. And now that I have, I really, really love this movie. I love the gimmick about it being told, out of order. That was really, really fun. And just kind of trying to, line the relationship up as the movie goes on. And I love the juxtaposition between our two main characters and how you have one who's overly attached, and then you have the other one that's just there for a good time and just there for the moment, and then that just clashing by the end of their relationship. And there's kind of some debate on whether or not Tom's character actually grows in the movie. By the end of the movie, he goes from summer to autumn. In my mind, I feel like he did grow. He may make the same mistakes, but I'm optimistic that his character learned from those mistakes. But I still feel like he, has the issue of setting unfair expectations on those that he's pursuing, and that's what got him in the trouble in the first place. So I don't know. There wasn't a part 2 as far as I know, but that's just my 2 cents on it. Moving on to 1 Hour Photo, one of Robin Williams' most underappreciated work, in my opinion. This is a thriller and definitely not a comedy, which might throw some people off if you're just putting on a random Robin Williams movie. But this is so it is kind of slow, so you got to know that, I guess, going into it, but that's kind of my jam. It is a slow burn thriller, kind of awkward at times, uncomfortable at times. But I had a blast with this movie. I started it many years ago, but I had to stop it for whatever reason. Maybe we had to go to the store or something, and I just never finished it. But now, watching it from beginning to end, I really, really love this movie, and it's one that I'll return to probably multiple times. Moving on to the original Mean Girls. I've seen this plenty of times, like most of us have. I just rewatched it because I do plan on watching the 2024 version, the musical, at some point. I was planning on watching it immediately after, but those plans kind of fell through. But, I mean, what can I say about Mean Girls that hasn't been said already? It is a very, very fun time, very quotable movie. I can't even say the word quotable. Very fun movie. Characters So even though you have mean characters, they're still like enjoyable, which is where I think Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants kind of missed the mark. Mean Girls, all the characters are interesting. Even if they're mean, they're still enjoyable to watch. They're still fun to see on screen. Yeah, Mean Girls is always fun to revisit. Moving on to Bone Tomahawk. Which is first time watching this movie again. Like it's one of kind of like with 500 Days of Summer. I was aware of it. I kind of knew about it, but for the most part, I kind of went in blind. I knew it was a horror western, and I've seen Cell. I think it's called Brawl and Cell Block 99 or something. Another movie by this director, who's basically like known for like graphic horror or graphic action or whatever at this point. Bone Tomahawk, very violent movie, very vicious movie. It does have some kind of racist parts in it. I've seen some YouTubers complain about it being an actually racist film. That I'm not 100% sure on. I know a lot of the characters do have racist like tendencies or sides to them. But I don't think that's the movie in and of itself outright being racist. But I'm not going to say that it's not. But I did enjoy the movie. So whatever that says about me. Moving on to Across the Spider-Verse. This is actually my first time watching this movie. Of course, I've seen Into the Spider-Verse, but I wanted the hype to die down on Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know why. I guess I had this feeling that it wouldn't live up to the hype, the expectations. I was silly. I should have saw this on release in theaters, but I didn't, and that's silly of me. I will be seeing the third movie because Across the Spider-Verse is phenomenal. The animation stepped up from Into the Spider-Verse. Like, it's even better in my opinion. The story and the relationships between the characters was really, really good. The only negative is I heard that the animation team was just put through so much crunch time, and they weren't necessarily treated the best. So hopefully, I mean, that does definitely have to change in the industry. But as far as viewing the product as itself, Across the Spider-Verse is just phenomenal. And again, I'm sad I didn't watch it sooner. Moving on to VHS 85. So I watched the entirety of the VHS series besides this one last year, and they kind of like got old after a while. Like, I appreciate what they were doing, but I feel like they kind of fell off. But similar to the fourth Hell House movie, I feel like this one kind of went back to its roots a little bit, and it was enjoyable. There were a couple of the shorts that I really didn't vibe with, because of course the VHS series is just like an anthology. They'll have like 4 or 5 shorts that make up the movie, and then they'll have like one interwoven plot line. This one actually had two plot lines that kind of like went throughout. But yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. I think I enjoyed like at least half of them. Like I think there was 5, and I enjoyed 3 of the shorts. Pretty good. Especially there's one about this kid who has nightmares that end up coming true, so he can kind of like tell the future. So I found that very interesting, and the production value on it was really good as well. So I do recommend it, but you have to kind of know what you're getting into with the VHS series. Moving on to Eileen from 2023. I watched this one because I heard it was a good companion piece with Saltburn. And although it's not as extreme as Saltburn, I can definitely understand the comparisons about the obsession. I love Thomasin McKenzie, and I think she's phenomenal in everything that I've seen her in, whether it's Jojo Rabbit, whether it's Last Night in Soho, and now Eileen. She is phenomenal, and I think she's going to have a really, really long and successful career. And the last movie, and I got to hurry up because my minute's almost up, or my 10 minutes is almost up, is Pretend That You Love Me, which is a YouTube film, which you can find on YouTube for free. And this is the reason why I didn't watch 11 films this week, is because I kind of want to just sit with this movie. Pretend That You Love Me it's this filmmaker that's making this film, obviously, and then it kind of like bleeds into real life, and there's a lot of like real life implications, and just watch it. I don't want to like spoil anything. Not that there's a good story. There's not like there's one particular jarring twist. But having said that, my 10 minutes is up. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope everyone has a great week, and I will see y'all later. Bye.